I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's poppin', my homies? Hope you're doing well, feeling blessed, having a good day, having a good week. This one's going to be Cory Sandhagen taking on Deiveson Figueiredo in the main event. And as usual, the UFC card is stacked. It's good to go. Before we break down the matchups and make predictions, here's the 4 bets that I had on my Patreon last weekend. We did win all 4, so that's good. But can we do it again? That's the question. Can we do it again? All right, guys, let's go. First matchup on the card, we've got Juliana Miller taking on Ivana Petrovic. Now, Juliana Miller, she has 3 wins, 3 losses as a professional mixed martial artist. She only has 6 professional fights, and she's not fought in over a year and a half, so pretty inactive. Now, the last time we saw Juliana Miller, she got embarrassed by Luana Santos. Her striking in that fight, it looked awful. Offensively, it wasn't good. Defensively, it wasn't good. Her striking just wasn't good in that fight. I would say though, Juliana Miller, she is a grappler. I would describe her as a grappler. She's at her best when she's mauling the opponent on the canvas. She's a mauler. Now on the flip side, we've got Ivana Petrovic, who's way more active than Juliana Miller. The last time we saw Ivana Petrovic was 5 or 6 months ago when she lost a very close decision against Jamie Lynn Horth. And I'd say that her performance in that fight, it wasn't exactly bad. It was a close fight. So guys, how does the fight play out between Juliana Miller and Ivana Petrovic? I kind of feel that Juliana Miller, she's going to attempt takedowns in this fight. And I kind of feel that her takedown attempts, they're going to be stuffed. I see Juliana Miller being unsuccessful with her takedown attempts. I also feel that Ivana Petrovic, if she was to attempt takedowns in this fight, which I think she will do, I think she's going to get those takedowns against Juliana Miller. I also feel that Ivana Petrovic is just sharper. She's sharper in the striking, in the wrestling, in the grappling. I just feel that Ivana Petrovic is the more sharper and more developed mixed martial artist at the moment. So I guess my prediction is going to be Ivana Petrovic to win this fight. I think Ivana on the scorecards is kind of likely. Next matchup on the card, we've got Don'Tale Mayes taking on Thomas Petersen. Oh God, low-level heavyweight mixed martial arts. We meet again. Don'Tale Mayes now has 4 wins, 6 losses inside the UFC. What can we say about Don'Tale Mayes? I don't even know what to say about Don'Tale at this point. He's not a pure boxer. He's not a pure kicker. He's not a pure Muay Thai striker. I'm not entirely sure how to describe Don'Tale Mayes. At times he'll do running attacks, jumping attacks, spinning attacks. At times on the ground, he'll even throw in some hip attacks. He does have some power on the feet, but every heavyweight has power. On the flip side, we've got Thomas Petersen, who's primarily a wrestler. It's easier to describe Thomas Petersen. His boxing isn't great, but it's not terrible. He did show us some nice boxing moments against Muhammad Usman. However, he recently got dusted by Shamil Gaziev. So how does a matchup play out between Don'Tale Mayes and Thomas Petersen? I just think based on experience, just based on who's had more time in the UFC octagon, the winner's probably Don'Tale Mayes. If Petersen doesn't get the takedown, if Thomas Petersen isn't able to impose his wrestling onto Don'Tale Mayes, then the matchup stays on the feet. And if the matchup stays on the feet, Don'Tale Mayes, like I say, he's not a pure boxer. He's not a pure kicker. He's not a pure Muay Thai striker. But he is kind of tricky on the feet. He does throw some kicks. He'll throw a jab. He can push you against the fence and work in the clinch. He's just got more octagon time, more experience. So even though I think he's a weird fighter, even though I don't really rate him too much, I am going to pick Don'Tale Mayes to get a win against Thomas Petersen. Next matchup, we've got Gaston Bolanos taking on Quang. And this matchup here, in my opinion, is quite a difficult matchup to predict. So starting the breakdown with the Peruvian, Gaston Bolanos. Now Gaston is a very technical kickboxer. He's got fast kicks, sharp hands. From a technical perspective, he's very, very good. He started his UFC career with a win against Aaron Phillips, which was a pretty standard win. But then against Marcus McGee, he basically got abused on the feet. He got dusted on the feet by Marcus McGee. After losing to Marcus, he got a nice upset win against Cortavius Romius, and he won both the striking and the grappling against Cortavius. Now Quang, he doesn't have a win in the UFC as of yet. He's 0-2. His debut was against Chris Gutierrez though, which in my opinion, that's an unfair debut. But despite the mismatch in the UFC debut, after 10 minutes against Chris Gutierrez, the fight was even. He won a round against Chris Gutierrez, and that's impressive. Now the fight didn't go his way. He did lose his UFC debut, but he done well. He won a round. But most recently, guys, he got dusted. He got dusted most recently against Xiaolong. And in all fairness, he took a lot of damage and eventually got stopped in the final round. Now here's the thing I don't like about Quang Le. He walks forward in straight lines. He doesn't move his head. His head movement is basically non-existent. And defensively, because he walks forward and doesn't move his head, he's so hittable. His striking style kind of reminds me of an old school striker. You know, the type of strikers that aren't scared of getting brain damage. The type of strikers that are there to show you who's tougher. Not who's got more intelligence, but who's tougher. And the great Mike Tyson once said, fighting isn't for tough people, it's for smart people. Of course you still need a level of toughness. You still need a certain level of durability. But primarily, you want to be the smartest fighter in the fight. Now there is a reason why Quang Le walks forward in straight lines, looking to engage in chaos. There is a reason why. He's very powerful, and he knows what he can do offensively. He knows what he can do when he connects with the opponent's chin. But there's no consideration for what the opponent's doing. There's no consideration for defense, and that's the problem with Quang Le. Now Gaston Bolanos, he's the technician in this fight, whereas Quang Le, he's the puncher. He's the one who's going to be losing minutes in this fight, but he's going to be content just searching for one fight-ending punch or one round-stealing punch. He can be losing the whole round, but then he stuns Gaston Bolanos and wins back the round. It's a very interesting matchup. Very, very interesting. I'm going to predict the puncher over the technician. I'm going to predict Quang Le to win this fight. Moving into the next matchup, we've got Marina Rodriguez taking on Gillian Robertson. This is going to be Muay Thai striking versus Jiu-Jitsu, and the matchup is pretty easy to break down. On one side, we've got amazing Muay Thai. We've got Marina Rodriguez with excellent Thai boxing, her kicks, her elbows, her knees. She's a problem in the stand-up. But on the flip side, we've got an amazing ground fighter, essentially the Charles Oliveira of the females. We've got Gillian Robertson, an absolute savage on the ground, a high-level black belt in jiu-jitsu. She's got amazing control, amazing submissions. She's a problem on the ground. So either Marina Rodriguez, she wins the stand-up, or Gillian Robertson, she wins on the ground. It could be a case of both. It could be a case of Marina Rodriguez, she's winning the first 2 minutes, the first 3 minutes of the stand-up, but then Gillian Robertson, she times that takedown and she wins back the round, or even finds a submission. Kinda similar to David Onama and Giga Chikadze from last weekend. Notice how Chikadze, he's winning the final round. He's winning the final round in the stand-up. But then David Onama, he gets a takedown and starts to win back the round with very slight ground and pound. I don't necessarily agree with the scorecards. I did pick David Onama last weekend, but I kind of feel that final round, it should have been a round that was scored based on the striking of Giga Chikadze. You know, that striking in the final round, it did outweigh the ground and pound, the very slight ground and pound of David Onama. But that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. So if Marina Rodriguez, she's winning the stand-up for the first 2 minutes, the first 3 minutes, but then Gillian Robertson, she gets it to the ground, starts to win back the round, or even find a submission, even find a finish for the fight. Now, something worth mentioning is Marina Rodriguez, historically, her takedown defense, it's never been good. She's not a good defensive wrestler. And I don't really believe that Gillian Robertson, she's got amazing wrestling. But one thing she does have is the timing. She times those takedowns really well. Her timing on the entries, they're really good. So guys, I do see Gillian Robertson getting the takedowns. And it's a case of stealing back the round you've previously been losing, or just simply finishing the fight with another classic Gillian Robertson submission. It's going to be Team Muay Thai versus Team Jiu-Jitsu, and on this occasion, I'm going to predict that Jiu-Jitsu wins. I'm going to predict that Gillian Robertson wins via submission, or to win on my judges' scorecards. I'm Team Jiu-Jitsu. Next matchup, we've got Azamat Bekoev taking on Ryan Loder. Now, Azamat Bekoev, he's extremely well-rounded. He's a power puncher on the feet. He can wrestle the opponent to the canvas. His grappling ability is very good. He's able to land massive fight-ending ground and pound on the canvas. We've only seen him fight once in the UFC, and it was a short notice fight. But despite that fight being short notice, he still ends the fight in nasty fashion with devastating ground and pound. And this time round, guys, he's got a full training camp. So if you thought that Bekoev was impressive last time round, there's a case to make that he's going to be even more dangerous with the full camp. Now, his opponent, Ryan Loder, an American wrestler. In my opinion, Ryan was kind of lucky to win against Robert Valentin. Robert Valentin was so close to getting that rear naked choke in round 1. Somehow he doesn't get the choke. Ryan Loder then survives and takes over. Now, guys, can Ryan Loder out-wrestle Bekoev? Probably not. Can Ryan cause effective damage in the stand-up? Probably not. Now, let's flip those same questions to Bekoev. Could Bekoev out-wrestle Ryan Loder? Probably yes. Could he land fight-ending damage in both the stand-up and on the ground? Probably yes. So my prediction will be the Russian Azamat Bekoev not only to win the fight, but I think he finds a finish against Ryan Loder. So that's the pick. Next matchup, we've got Yana Santos taking on Miesha Tate, and I have no clue whatsoever who's going to win this fight. I have no clue. If I said Yana Santos is past her prime, is that a fair statement? If I said Miesha Tate is certainly past her prime, I would say that's certainly a true statement. Now, Yana and Miesha Tate, they're both wrestlers, and Yana used to fight at 145, featherweight, which makes me believe she can out-wrestle Miesha Tate, or certainly wrestle with Miesha, maybe get her own takedowns, maybe find her own success against the fence. And Miesha Tate hasn't fought since she fought Julia Avila, and she dominated Julia Avila. She got takedowns with ease. She ragdolled Avila. Julia Avila literally showed zero resistance on the takedown defense. But can she do the same thing against Yana Santos? Can she do the same thing against someone that used to fight at 145, someone that's also a wrestler? I kind of doubt it. I really do. So my prediction is going to be based on a few things. It's going to be based on who's more active, who's closer to their prime, who's stronger, and who's the closer representative of an actual fighter. And I believe that's going to be Yana Santos. She's more active, she's closer to her prime, she's strong, she can wrestle. So I think Yana Santos is potentially the winner in this fight. I'm going to predict the Russian to win via 29-28 or maybe a split. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I do lean towards Yana Santos with the activity, the wrestling. The closer fighter to their prime is Yana Santos, in my opinion. So that's my pick. Next matchup, we've got Jeremy Stephens taking on Mason Jones, and this is fireworks. This matchup here, it offers nothing but fireworks, and Jeremy Stephens is nothing but chaos. He brings the fight just about every time he steps foot into the UFC octagon. He's not fought in the UFC though for ages. He left the UFC after losing to Gamrot back in 2021. Wow, I'm getting old. On the flip side though, we've got the return of the Welsh Dragon, Mason Jones, and I'm so excited to see the return of Mason Jones. He's so well-rounded. The boxing, the kicking, the grappling, the wrestling, the clinch striking, the cardio, the toughness. Mason Jones is extremely well-rounded, but his first run in the UFC, it was maybe a little bit too soon. This time though, I fully expect Mason Jones to truly show the UFC fans just how good he is. The problem with Mason Jones, or should I say, the main problem with Mason Jones in his first UFC run, it was his defense. Similar to Quang Lee, he walks forward in straight lines. He's just too hittable. And again, it's because he knows what he can do offensively. He's so eager to dust up the opponent, he forgets about defense. But guys, I do think Mason Jones is going to stop Jeremy Stephens. It could be a standing TKO. It could be ground and pound. It could be a submission. But I do think Mason Jones, he makes a nice statement in his return fight to the UFC. I'm going to predict the Welsh Dragon, Mason Jones, to get it done. And I am 25% Welsh, so maybe a biased prediction, but yeah, Mason Jones, that's my pick. Next matchup, we've got Cameron Smotherman taking on Serhiy, a very tough prediction to make. Now, Cameron Smotherman, he cashed as a plus 400 underdog in his UFC debut, which was a short notice debut against Jake Hadley. And Smotherman, he just outboxed Jake Hadley. the high guard defense, landing the jab, landing the punches to the body of Jake Hadley. He just outworked Jake in the stand-up. And I was kind of surprised that Jake didn't make the fight more about wrestling, more about grappling. But credit to Cameron Smotherman. He was the much more effective boxer in that fight. Now his opponent this weekend is Sidey, a Canadian mixed martial artist. And I would definitely give the boxing advantage to Cameron Smotherman. However, I believe Sidey is the overall better striker. He's the better range striker. He can throw the kicks to the legs, to the body, to the head. He's got the stepping elbows, the long punches on the outside. He's not just a boxer, whereas Cameron Smotherman, he's mainly about boxing. And don't get me wrong, his boxing is nice. It is very nice, but I think Sidey has more weapons. I think Sidey can bring the fight to the canvas, look to wrestle, look to grapple, throw in some submission attacks, ground and pound. I think he can do what Jake Hadley should have done on the canvas. I lean towards Sidey having more ways to win. But one thing I don't like about Sidey is his defense. He's using the high guard similar to Cameron Smotherman, but the punches are getting through the guard. Defensively, he's not that good, but he's much better offensively. I just think he's got more weapons, more ways to win. But guys, it's going to be close. This is going to be a very close fight. I lean towards the Canadian, Sidey. Next matchup, we've got Montel Jackson taking on Daniel Marcos, and this is great matchmaking by the matchmakers. So Montel Jackson, he's primarily a wrestler, but what makes Montel Jackson so special is his knockout power. He's not just a wrestler. Look at the way he destroyed Damon Blackshear, and that win is aged like wine because Blackshear right now is performing at a really nice level. And the only losses that Montel Jackson has right now is against wrestlers and grapplers. He lost to Ricky Simone when Ricky Simone was in his prime. He lost to a scrappy Welsh grappler in Brett Johns. On the flip side though, we've got a striker, a technical striker that I would somewhat compare to Chris Gutierrez. Daniel Marcos, he typically maintains the range. He typically controls the range between him and his opponent. But at times though, he loses control of that technical striking battle. For example, look at his fight against Davey Grant. That fight became wild. That fight became reckless. That fight became more about Davey Grant. Look at his fight against John Castaneda. For 10 minutes, he dominated the fight. But in the final round, it becomes a Castaneda fight. A similar situation against Adrian Yanez. But guys, right now, Daniel Marcos is 17-0 as a professional mixed martial artist. He's never lost a fight, but he's definitely been close to losing a fight on more than one occasion. And I kind of feel that Montel Jackson, with his height advantage, his reach advantage, his power advantage, his wrestling advantage, I feel that Montel Jackson, with his multiple advantages, is going to be the first one to defeat Daniel Marcos. So I guess my prediction is going to be Montel Jackson via KO TKO or to win on my judges' scorecards. And I'll say this, if Daniel Marcos wins this fight, if Daniel Marcos stays undefeated and against Montel Jackson, then we have to give him so much credit. We really do. But my prediction is going to be Montel, quick, Jackson. Next matchup, we've got Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Daniel Rodriguez. A very decent matchup, but also a tough prediction to make. Now, Santiago Ponzinibbio, as we know, is an Argentine brawler. He's not scared of any opponent. Santiago Ponzinibbio will stand and trade with just about anyone. But let's be honest, guys. Santiago Ponzinibbio, he is past his prime. But never forget when Santiago Ponzinibbio dusted up Neil Magny in the main event over in Argentina. And never forget when Santiago Ponzinibbio went over to Scotland and eye-poked Gunnar Nelson in the main event, which then led to a Ponzinibbio KO TKO. This is when Santiago Ponzinibbio was in his absolute prime. Now, I did pick Santiago to win against Carlston Harris earlier this year, but Carlston Harris is very reckless on the feet, whereas Daniel Rodriguez is a nice technical southpaw. He's got a sharp left hand, a sharp left kick. He's a technical southpaw, and there's also a case to make that Daniel Rodriguez is also past his prime. But guys, something tells me that Daniel Rodriguez, he's the one to get his hand raised this weekend. It's a very close fight, and I think it's going to be close. But something tells me Daniel Rodriguez, the technical southpaw, the one who has the better durability at this point in both their careers, something tells me to pick Daniel Rodriguez. So that's the pick. Moving into the next matchup, we've got the co-main event, RDR Reinier the Ridder versus the All-American Bo Nickal. Jiu-Jitsu versus wrestling, high-level Jiu-Jitsu, elite Jiu-Jitsu versus high-level wrestling, elite wrestling. I think the winner of the fight is going to be Bo Nickal. That's my prediction. We've seen RDR get tired past round 1. He was getting tagged up by GM3, which in my opinion, that's a red flag. Now, he did eventually submit GM3, and he also destroyed Kevin Holland in quick time in round 1. But can he get the takedown against Bo Nickal? I don't think so. Guys, in my opinion, Bo Nickal's on his way to the title. He's one of the best wrestlers in the UFC. And if I asked you guys, name me more than 2 wrestlers in the UFC better than Bo Nickal, and even if you did, in the comment section below, I'd probably disagree with more than one of them. Bo Nickal's the real deal. He's not a boxer. He's not a kicker. He's not a grappler. He's an amazing wrestler that's training at ATT day in, day out, improving his skill set. Now, here's the thing. People watch his fight against Paul Craig. They watch that fight and they say, Bo Nickal's boring. Bo Nickal's overrated. That's what the fans say after watching his fight against Paul Craig. But what the fans don't realise is it's a sport when you want it to be a sport. It's an entertainment when you want it to be an entertainment. So looking at Bo Nickal from a sporting perspective, a competition perspective, that fight against Paul Craig, that was smart. That was smart stuff. The only thing Paul Craig's ever been good at is jiu-jitsu. And Bo Nickal said, you know what? I don't even need to bring you to the canvas. I can just beat you on the feet. I can defeat Paul Craig in the stand-up, even though I'm not a striker. That's what Bo Nickal done. But the fans say Bo Nickal after that fight, overrated, boring. But from a sporting perspective, from a competition perspective, I think there's a lot of fans that don't really know what they're talking about. To be honest, that's my opinion. I think Bo Nickal's the real deal. I think his wrestling is phenomenal. I think one day he will be inside the octagon with Khamzat Chimaev. And if RDR can't bring Bo Nickal to the canvas, which in my opinion, he can't, then how's he going to win? The only way that RDR can win is via submission. So I think round 1, it stays on the feet. There's a bit of striking in round 1. Then in round 2, Bo Nickal, he's going to choose to bring RDR to the canvas. Remember, this only goes to the canvas when Bo Nickal says so. It goes to the canvas only when Bo Nickal says so. It could be round 1. It can be round 2. But it only goes to the canvas when Bo Nickal says so. So guys, my prediction is going to be Bo Nickal to win this fight. I think Bo Nickal gets it done. I think he stays undefeated. And I also think he wins on the scorecards. And I also think he has more chance of finding a submission than the high-level jiu-jitsu player. I know some people will disagree, but that's my opinion, man. I think Bo Nickal, he stays undefeated. That's the pick. Moving into the main event, we've got Cory Sandhagen taking on Deiveson Figueiredo, the former flyweight champion, now competing in the bantamweight division. Figueiredo had such a good start to his bantamweight career, but I'm not entirely sure he can defeat the higher ranked bantamweights. He got dominated by Peter Yan, and I kind of feel he's going to be dominated by the Sandman, Cory Sandhagen. And guys, I've said it for years at this point, Cory Sandhagen is just a modern day Dominic Cruz. His footwork is so unique. It's so similar to Dominic Cruz. His striking goes hand in hand with his footwork. He's just extremely difficult to deal with in the stand-up. He's like a puzzle, a high-level striking puzzle. He's got amazing cardio, amazing output, amazing fight IQ, and I just can't see a former flyweight being able to defeat the Sandman, Cory Sandhagen. So I'm actually going to pick Cory Sandhagen to find a stoppage in the championship rounds, something that Peter Yan couldn't do against Figueiredo. But I do think Cory Sandhagen is going to find a stoppage. So guys, my prediction is going to be Cory Sandhagen to get it done either round 4 or round 5. Deiveson Figueiredo, man, he's been a champion. He's had his time at flyweight. Now you're in Sandhagen's time, right? This is a Sandhagen fight. It's a Sandhagen main event. So the prediction has to be Cory Sandhagen via complete dusteration against a former flyweight champion. As always, my homies, drop down your main event, your co-main event, your parlays, your straight bets, your doubles, your money city bets. Drop all that stuff in the comment section below. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Peace.